Thank you so much for coming. Susie is not able to be here this morning. So we are going to have our guest here today. So I'll let you introduce yourself. And we're just trying to get some tech situation under control. We'll be recording this one. And so if you don't mind giving an introduction to yourself, and then I'll start after I've gotten this started.
Okay, so no slides yet.
Not yet. But,
Okay.
Is that part of your introduction?
Doesn't have to be.
Okay. Maybe
Uh,
just to the group itself and then.
Yes,
yeah.
tutorial on the mic for when we start using that. Do I have to keep pressing or do I just press once and it's on?
If you just push once. Or one if you're standing. If
Oh,
you want
can
to
I stand up?
Yeah, if you prefer.
Well, it's not fun to see it, but.
Okay, whatever you prefer.
Okay. We might. Is this mic on? Yes, it is. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you all for being here. I'm thrilled to do this. Probably like many of you, when Susie asks me to do anything, I do it because she's one of my favorite people. And a couple months ago, she said, you know, some of the parents at Coffee Talk, they really want to talk about internet safety. And we've done the school version. Susie at the beginning of the year did the school version of what that looks like. And we'd love to have you come in and do kind of the home version or what you all can be thinking about. So my name is Lisa Honold. I run the Center for Online Safety. It's a national organization, but we're based here. I have 3 kids who came through the school district, and the youngest is now a senior in high school. So about to be out of the district. Uh, and I started getting involved full time with internet safety 8 years ago because I watched my own kids' generation really struggle and wobble and become different people for a while and watch their mental health really deteriorate. And, I wanted to know what to do about it. I dove in and studied, and I was already teaching parenting classes and just kind of naturally started focusing more on digital world and how parents can continue to stay involved as kids get older. And a lot of what they do is invisible online. Um, I would love to know, because we have time. Hey, there they are. Thank you. Um, I would love to know how old your kids are. If you've got anybody under 5, would you raise your hand? 6 to 10? Everybody. And 11 to 15 and 16 plus? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. So no littles, and then several 6 to 10 and above. Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Um, I'm so glad to have slides. We can go to the next slide. So today, Susie asked me to give an overview. And this is what I do for work full time. This is a very different presentation than a parent night where I travel around and talk to students. And then at the end of that, I get to talk to parents about what students learned and how they can continue to be involved. This is an intro, and it's meant to be really conversational. I never do these because I never have time to do these, but Susie called. I live here. I'm doing this. So I just made these slides for this. I want to talk about what's going on right now with kids and why it feels hard to parent all of this. I'm sure you all have your opinions on why that is too. Uh, and then have a couple of tools for you. One is a digital roadmap and a family tech agreement that we'll talk about. 3 areas of concern, some practical tips, and a couple of conversation starters, and then open it up. This is meant to be conversational. This is probably 20 minutes of content, and then a lot of time for us all to share. Yes, I've been doing this work a long time, and I recognize that each of you is a piece of the puzzle and knows things and is able to, suggest things or ask questions, and you all can help each other in conversation. And okay, this worked for me for a while and now it's not working. Or have you tried this? As a community, we have a lot to share. Go ahead. Okay, so what we know about kids and early childhood development is they learn through hands-on play. They learn through tactile, touching stuff, experimenting with stuff, seeing what happens when it gets pushed over. They learn through hands-on play. They learn through imagination. And they're practicing constantly. They're practicing what it means when a face is angry or what it means to interpret social cues. That's what they're learning. That's what they're practicing from the time they're little all the way through about age 8 or 9 and beyond. I'm ready for the next slide whenever you have a moment. Perfect. It takes a village. What we're noticing now, whoops, that slide didn't work out so well. What we're noticing now with the advent of screens and just how they're everywhere is that kids have less time for hands-on play, and their dexterity when they come to school, maybe they can't hold a paintbrush or a pencil like they used to. I hear from teachers all the time saying, my gosh, what's happening to kids? They're not coming ready like they were 10 years ago with those fine motor skills. There's a shorter attention span, I think, for all of us, not just for kids, but there is a shorter attention span that's happening, and there's less imagination and creative play. What I'm hearing from teachers is, yes, of course, kids can tell stories, but now they're based in a Minecraft world, or they're based in something that is a gaming focused or something they've already read. It's not like that free form creative story as much as it was. And there is less ability to interpret what's happening on a face or what's happening in a social situation. With older kids, say my kids back in the day, less eye contact. Many kids are not able to give eye contact and have that direct gaze. Go ahead. Raise your hand if you've heard of The Anxious Generation. Yes. Has anybody read it? Yeah. It's a long book. Kudos. What I love about this book, it came out in 2024, is that Jonathan Haidt is a researcher. And so he's got all of these research articles and facts that he's boiled down into this book. And it has changed momentum in internet safety and in giving kids tech. He has 4 ideas. First of all, the premise of the book is that parents are over-parenting the playground world, the real life adventures. We're not letting kids get their knees skinned as much as we were. And there's like a sort of the helicopter parent meme of we're just being very anxious in real life. And in the digital world, we are under-parenting as a society. We don't understand what the risks are and where the problems come from. So over-parenting in the real world, under-parenting in the internet world. And he's got 4 recommendations based on all of the research articles that he brought in his book. I'm sorry, I've got a cough drop in my mouth because allergy season has started for me, darn it. So his 4 things that he recommends are banning smartphones in school, all ages through high school, so that kids have a chance to be bored, so that they listen in class, so that they're not trying to sneak during recess time or break time, and so that at lunchtime, the lunchroom is loud again. They're talking to each other. They're doing stuff. They're not sharing phones and being very quiet. They're loud. They're exuberant. They're learning. They're doing stuff. Wait until age 14 for smartphones. A couple of years ago, no one was saying this. But based on the latest research that we have, this is best practice now. Wait until age 14 for smartphones. Does that mean your child can't have any device? No, there's so many options right now for good first devices. We live in a fantastic time to go slowly, to start with dumb phones or to start with phones that are scaled back that can scale up over time. And I'm happy to talk more about that. Wait till age 16 for social media. That's a big one. How old do you have to be in this country for social media, supposedly? It's all over the place. 13. You're supposed to be 13 to have an account on social media. And that's why, I don't know if you follow the news in Australia's what they've done. They just passed a law that said 16 is the new minimum for social media in our country, our whole country. They took it off of individual parents' shoulders, which is a huge thing. And they said, for the mental health of our youth, we want to delay it. It's not that we don't want to have it ever. We want to delay it until the content is more appropriate and they're more able to handle it. So 16 is what it is. Social media accounts in Australia, there have been almost 5 million so far kids that have been kicked off of social media. And until Australia did this, the tech companies said, oh gosh, there's no way we can do that. We don't even know what age anybody is, or there's no way to do that. And then when there was a financial penalty to not doing it, guess what? They figured it out. So if we wanted to, we could have legislation here in this country. Tech companies are already doing it. It's not like they can't. And we would delay a lot of the mental health problems, a lot of the risky situations that kids get into, as well as the bullying and the access to all kinds of content that's not okay. We would be delaying that for a long time. And sorry about the last slide. Get kids outdoors is the point of replacing screen time with being outside, getting fresh air, doing the things that a couple generations back was just what we did. It's just how it was. Go play. Yes.
I just want to recognize, excuse me, I'm also having those allergies, that the slides here are going to be different than the ones that you gave. I think it's formatting differently,
Oh.
but I'll attach the PDF of your slides so the full information will be available on our website on the Zoom recording as well.
Beautiful. Thank you. We can go to the next one. Back to the last one though. If you haven't read the book, he's all over the place. Jonathan Haidt is his name. You can listen to several different podcasts. He's been on an Oprah podcast. He's been all over the place, depending on who you like as a moderator. It's worth a listen just because he's got such a researcher-backed, science-filled perspective and kind of common sense. All right, so what are we dealing with this year? There's a company called Bark that is a monitoring service, and for a fee, for a subscription, they will monitor a child's social media accounts, and if there is a troubling picture, say there's nudity or there's blood in a picture or there's bullying going back and forth or even sarcasm, Bark will send a parental alert. So I pay attention to their year-end report. I highly recommend looking at them if you're interested in that also. But I take a look at their year-end report to see who's in the most trouble, which company is kind of doing the worst when it comes to protecting kids. And these are all for accounts under 18 years old. When we're looking at sexual content, X is the worst, Twitter. Thing to many parents because they think of it as kind of the news platform and the serious platform. But as far as access to especially pornography, it's all over the place, which many people don't know. So as Twitter is the worst, Kik is a social media, Reddit, TikTok, and Instagram. Are you surprised by any of those? Yeah, isn't that interesting? Don't know what it is, but there it is on the list. Yeah, it's a different kind of social media. Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, yeah. Um, that goes into what they monitor. And if they were able to monitor Roblox, they probably would make the list. I don't think there's any gaming platform that they can monitor. I think it's all social. I'm pretty sure it's all social. So suicidal ideation, TikTok is right up there on top. Severe bullying, also TikTok. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. That's not, yeah, you're right. Not TikTok. It's Tumblr. Tumblr. Yes. Sorry. Tumblr. Yeah. TikTok is down number 3. I see the T, I go crazy. Yes. Snapchat only appears once here, and that's in the bullying. Discord. Yeah. Discord got to be popular. It started like as a gaming social media platform. It's a place you can chat, you can video, you can do a lot of things. And it's become very popular with kids as another way to communicate. Yes. Go ahead to the next slide. Okay, you all know this. Today's internet is very different than last generation's internet, than the internet I grew up with, which was no internet. So clearly, yes. What's happening since 2015 is the algorithms really got involved with all of these social media platforms. Algorithms deliver different things to different people. So your feed doesn't look like my feed, and that's on purpose because they want us to be on there for a long time. So they want to keep us entertained. They want to understand what we will watch and deliver a lot of that. What that means for kids is, well, same for us. It doesn't mean that they're delivering things that kids necessarily like. It means they're delivering things kids will watch. And there's a difference. We will watch the after effects of a car crash, not because we like it, but because it's different and it's scary and we don't want anybody to be hurt and all of the reasons, right? It's not because we like it. Same thing with the algorithm. It will deliver things to see if a child will watch it. And if it will, then it'll take it a step further. So will you watch somebody in a bathing suit? Will you watch somebody with less of a bathing suit? Will you watch somebody who barely has anything on? That's how it's testing to see where the limits are. And for kids, they know how to keep kids on. Going back to the age of 13 and social media accounts, no kid in this country, well, very few kids have been kicked off of social media because they're too young. It could happen. And there's warnings about it that it may happen, but they're not enforcing it in this country yet. Almost 50% of 10-year-olds have smartphones. Does that seem true around here too? You think it's a higher age, lower age? Yeah, yeah. Do you think sixth grade is when it usually tipping point? Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And then 8 to 12-year-olds have about 5.5 hours of entertainment a day. That's not just internet entertainment. That's TV, that's movies, that's what family time together, but that's also gaming and whatever they're doing on YouTube and YouTube Kids and all of those things. YouTube is a social media platform. You know that, right? Because you can chat, you can talk back and forth, you can like videos, you can do all of the things, and you can have an account. And it has boy, does it have an algorithm. Yes, it does. And if you don't remember, I always try to repeat what you're saying. So, yes, next slide, please. All right. A lot of parents tell me, especially in middle school, they say, oh my gosh, I feel so far behind. How is all this happening to my child? And where did the time go where I could help them manage all of this? You're not behind. It happens really quickly, and the technology is constantly changing. Um, it's definitely different than when we were kids. And our parents didn't give us a roadmap to follow because they didn't need one. So we're learning as we go. We are pioneers in parenting this space. And the more we can have conversations like this and share with each other what's working, the easier it will feel. The other thing is tech companies should be embarrassed because they could make it so much easier. Yes, they all have parental controls, but none of them give us access to what we really need to know, which is my child being safe? Are they in danger? Is there a situation I need to know about so I can parent it, so I can manage it? Nobody's doing that. And it's really upsetting because they could do it so easily. And again, it's on our shoulders to figure out each app that your child is on and try to manage it. Not fair. Next slide. So the first thing I want to share as a resource is something called a digital roadmap. And it's a one pager. There's a QR code in the corner. If you can't access the QR code, the URL is at the bottom. It's long, but it's centerforonlinesafety.com/blog/when should my child get a phone with hyphen between the words. What that does is show you different ages and stages of your child and what you should be thinking about. 3 or 4 bullet points, just super boiled down into be sure and put a password on your phone when you've got a 2-year-old because they grab your phone and before you know it, they're off and running. To some of Jonathan Haidt's newer recommendations as far as 14 for a smartphone and 16 for social media, just things to think about and best practices. So that's a resource for you either on the web page or QR code. Go ahead to the next page. When parents think about screen time, a lot of times the questions kind of fall into 3 buckets. One is, who are they talking to? Do I know them? Do they know them? Who are these people? And what are they seeing? What's the content like? Who are they following? What are they seeing? What's the algorithm delivering to them in addition to what they're searching out? And how long are they on? Those are the 3 main areas of concern that most parents have. Go ahead and go forward. I'm sorry for these slides showing up a little weird. So the practical tips I have just in a nutshell for who they're talking with, find a way to monitor. The sooner that you do that with these young kids, the more normal it seems, the more it's no big deal. It's no big deal to sit beside your child and you're on your device, they're on theirs, and you can look over every once in a while. It's okay to do that. If they're gaming, have them game in a central room so that you can hear their side of the conversation so that you know what's happening on their side. Sometimes have them take off their headphones so that you can hear what everybody else is doing too. And you can see who's kind of instigating uh, the trash talking that happens a lot of time on gaming. Um, and you just get a sense of who's in the room and how they're behaving. And as far as what they're seeing, oh, back to monitoring. So yeah, there's a physical monitoring. There's that human side of monitoring. There's also that company Bark that I mentioned. It's say $12 a month, and you get parental alerts from your child. There's like 26 accounts that it can monitor, and it's things like TikTok and Snapchat and Instagram, the main ones. When your child is ready for social media, you can consider a platform like that. I actually recommend way before, let me back up, way before social media, when they're texting is when they should first be monitored by a tech like Bark, in my opinion, because they have ability to send pictures. That can go well, that can not go well. So just having oversight in there, what that allows you to, your child to do is to throw you under the bus. Hey guys, this is getting too spicy. My mom's going to get a parental alert. Hey, we got to stop this because my mom's going to see this on Bark. Stupid Bark. You know, it's a great way to have them say, oh, I wish this wasn't happening, but I know I'm going to get in trouble if I continue. So not going to go there. I used it in my family and was able to have conversations that I didn't know I needed in exactly that moment that I needed them because I got an alert. And it's not meant to get your child in trouble. It's just meant as a conversation point. I see you want to talk about marijuana. Let's talk about it. I see you want to, just as a starting point. What are they curious about? Um, yeah.
Um, so so it'll monitor like their just regular texting on their
Yeah.
smartphone or like either Android or iPhone or
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the third big bucket is how long are they online? The earlier you set limits, the easier it's going to feel as they get into middle school and high school. It's just going to be normal to not have 24/7 access to devices. Are they going to push for it? Of course. You remember when you were a teenager, right? We always push for more freedom, but that doesn't mean that it's healthy or good for them long term. So the sooner you can set limits, the better. How do you set limits? Next slide. I developed something called the Family Tech Agreement. There's lots of technology contracts or media agreements out there if you start searching online. What I like about this one that I wasn't seeing in others is that it starts with the why. It starts with, I love you. I want you to be well-rounded and be able to use technology, but not be consumed by technology. So we're going to have some rules and limits set up, and it's an agreement where they sign and you sign, and then you update it often because they always, they're growing. They have access to more tech and more things. So I have copies here. There's also a QR code on the next page. Go to the next page, please. Yeah, if anybody wants an actual copy, I've got them. Let me just pass them around. And the only thing, this is an older version, the only thing I want you to cross out in your mind at least is the first I will on there says keep all phones out of the bedroom overnight. Cross off phones and it's all devices. It's all devices. If you just leave doing that one thing, you're going to protect your child in so many ways. You're protecting their sleep. If notifications go off, they won't know about it. You're also protecting them from honestly, from predators who are looking for unsupervised kids late at night. So if you just leave knowing one thing, it's get tech out of the bedroom, all tech, smart TVs, gaming systems, Chromebooks, tablets, anything that can connect to the internet, get it out. If you don't have access to the QR code, it is at centerforonlinesafety.com/blog/family-tech-agreement. Next slide. Okay, so your goal, as we've mentioned, is to stay involved and help guide their digital world, whether they're 5, 10, 15 years old, you want to stay involved. A couple of conversation starters. You can ask, what's one thing you love about your tablet or whatever device they have, your Chromebook, your whatever? What's one thing you love about it? And what's one thing you wish was different? Just to, see what they say. Another thing you could ask is if you could make a rule about tech or screens that everybody had to follow in our family, what would it be? You might be surprised at their answers. It just, basic conversation starters. And as far as where to have these conversations, I recommend not in a deep eye to eye moment, in a driving time or a chopping vegetables, getting ready for dinner time, something where you're working or sitting side by side, but you're not able to give them that penetrating stare that is sometimes too much for them. It goes a lot better if it's in the car or somewhere where they're kind of trapped, but in the best possible way. And you get a chance to hear from them. Next slide. Okay. Another way to stay involved is to read them books. And you all have kids that these books are appropriate for. One is called Good Pictures, Bad Pictures. Has anybody seen that book? It's about pornography. And so many kids stumble into pictures that they're very confused by, or somebody sends them something, they have no idea what it is. Good Pictures, Bad Pictures is a way to inoculate them before it happens. Hopefully after is okay too, but to give them a sense of which pictures are good pictures, which are bad, when to get parents involved. There's a junior version for really little kids, and then sort of a 4 to 8 year old version. Really good starting point. Is it a little dated? Yes. It's better than anything else that I've seen so far. So that's one I recommend. All right, the second one is written by me. And it's right now it's a baby book. So I haven't finished it. It's illustrated by me. This is Maya. She's 8. And she just is getting a tablet and is running into all kinds of adventures. She finds a scam, a pop-up scam that she doesn't know what to do with. What else happens to her? Her friend is asking her for passwords. You all know about passwords in elementary school and how everybody loves to share them, right? Oh my goodness. Yes. Kids want to be best friends. And one way to show that you're best friends with someone, and then later in middle school when you're dating someone, is to give them your passwords, which leads to all kinds of problems. Because if they are having a bad day, or if they're not best friends anymore, or if they break up later, that person can do a lot of harm to whatever accounts they have access to. And I was on Lopez Island a couple of weeks ago, and one of the high school kids said, yeah, I've seen that 3 times. I've seen that happen 3 times with my high school friends, where it's a mad dash to the password to try to change the password before the girlfriend gets a hold of it and goes on Instagram and does some horrible things. So it is a real stressor. It's something to think about. Be sure. Idiots, she says. Be sure that your child knows best practice is to not share passwords with anybody but you. So that's another situation that Maya gets into, is her best friend is begging her, we're best friends, we can do this, right? No, let's not. Anyway, my book will be published in August. I've got a webpage, centerforonlinesafety.com/Maya. If you're interested in learning more about that book, it's making me so happy right now, because when I work with kindergarten to 3rd grade kids, I need a story that they can hang these concepts on. I need something, and I've been looking for something for years and haven't found exactly the right thing. And so I debuted it at Lopez, and kids gave me a hug after, and they thought it was great. And they were so excited that they saw my little baby book before it was even had words on it. So it's very fun. All right, next slide. Yes.
Something that I see as a parent on there, and it goes kind of with your book, is that a lot of parents make accounts for their kids for Minecraft and whatnot. They use their first name and their middle name as their username, or the birthday as the numbers. And those are definitely things I taught my kid: never tell anyone your first, your last, your middle, any personal information when she's talking with friends. She makes up a name for the user account.
Thank you so much. Yes, that's another adventure Maya gets into. How much information should I share? What is private information? What is okay to share with other people? What is okay to share with strangers? Thank you so much. Yes, no birthdays, no real names, especially first and last both. No, for usernames, that's a definite no. Okay, questions. Many times, questions, comments, ahas, anything you want to talk about. Many times, one of the first questions is, I understand this, but how do I get the people that my child is hanging out with to also understand this? My kid's going to sleepovers, my kid's going to play dates, and all of a sudden I'm hearing about, mature rated video games that they want to play or that they already did play. Gosh, I had a situation where I had a first grader who went to a second grader's birthday party. It was a drop off situation. And I came in at the end of the party and they were playing Halo, some of the kids. And I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? I thought I was asking the right questions and I knew who this person was. And it was a birthday party. What are they doing? So that was my own parenting fail. But the question is, how do I get other adults to reduce screen time or to take away devices at a certain time of the night so that they're not seeing inappropriate content, they're not sharing pornography, they're not um, finding predators or joining some crazy app that connects you with strangers. How do I have those conversations? It's tricky, right? Because everybody has their own parenting style. We're not trying to say that one is good, the other is bad. However, your job is to protect your child and have safety conversations. Even if that means possibly stepping on someone's feet. Obviously, we want to do it very carefully, but there's a way to say, hey, I've noticed that at sleepovers, what works at our house is to have devices go away at 10 at night or 9 at night or whatever. If we're even going to have them at all. I mean, that's a whole other conversation. I mean, we're not going to have them, but if we have them, we put them away at 10 just so that kids can be kids, so that they are not consumed by electronics and they can just have fun. Work on that. I would love to hear what you come up with, because I'm always looking for ways that are non-judgmental and ways to have important safety conversations. This one's so important because so many times parents come back to me and say, I've been so careful with my kids. And then a sleepover happened. And then they got exposed to a bunch of stuff. I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, just that having older children, I have lived that experience. And so I do want to say at the beginning, I appreciate you stepping in and introducing yourself, but Susie and I have recognized over the years just the influx of the age is getting younger and younger and younger when we're having to say, put that smartphone in your backpack, put that smart watch in your backpack. Just the content that is coming into the classrooms now is changing over the years because there's so much exposure at younger and younger ages. And so we're seeing that especially in the fourth and fifth grade. It's just getting younger and younger. So I think this is so important, and it's important to teach our families and help educate parents and be in it together in a partnership as we have young learners here, so that we have a community effort of helping to reduce this situation. I do know that the middle school faculty is studying the anxious generation as a book study. So that's really informing their practice there. And so I'd be really curious if any other reading recommendations that might be appropriate for families or staff.
For kids who are a little bit older, have you seen The Amazing Generation? Yeah, same author. Yeah, it's Jonathan Haidt again, but it's focused on young people. I would say probably 11 or 12 and up. If you've got a really precocious 10-year-old, maybe. I don't know what the age is, honestly, but I took a look at it and loved it because it's a teen perspective. It's almost comic booky, not quite, but it's easy to read. It would be fun to do with as a family and talk about different chapters and stuff. But it just talks about the opportunity cost is what we would call it as adult. If you're doing this for 2 hours a day, then you're not doing that. And over time, 2 hours a day is years of your life. With high school kids, I talk about, we say we live to 80 years old. That's about 700,000 hours. And if you're on social media for 5 of those hours, then that's like 7 years of your life or something. It's crazy how it adds up. And it makes the teens go, whoa, this habit, I don't want this habit to be a lifelong habit where it's years of my life, because it's not adding that much. It adds some, it's not adding that much. So there's that. Yes. Questions, comments, thoughts?
I was just gonna say, like, it's interesting when we talk about like the sleepovers and everything. The first thing that popped into my head was like, oh, they all need little like medical ID bracelets with their guide, what they're allowed and whatever. And obviously that's not realistic, but I think that it would, when we do have play dates and sleepovers and stuff, it's common to talk about like, do they have any diet restrictions, or what's the bedtime thing? You talk about some things to try to make it a little bit so that it's within a normal for everybody. And I feel like just like normalizing talking about screen time or whatever during that little exchange, it could be really helpful, of just, instead of it being like, oh, then you're the parent that's like really crazy about screens or and stuff. So because I feel like sometimes I almost feel like embarrassed if I know that, like, I'm like, well, can you maybe not do the video games in the room or whatever. So I don't know how you normalize that, but like that would be where I could see that it would just make it easier to communicate in a less judgmental, or I don't know, space. Just that quick check-in, like, what do you want to do for
What if it was
It's
that
not
simple?
really
What
a
if it,
solution, but
what if it was in part of your conversation, any dietary restrictions?
yeah,
What do you want to do about screen time? Like
Yeah.
that sounded
Yeah.
really natural.
yeah, I think that I think it's easier for me to ask other people than to, you know what I'm saying? Like if I'm bringing a kid into my home, I'll ask that question.
Yeah.
It's a little more awkward when I'm sending someone somewhere else, because I think that it perhaps brings up a level of like, I don't trust your judgment on this. So I want to make sure, but it's not so much that like I'm judging your judgment for your kids. It's just that it's different for mine. But I guess it's just about being more brave those first few times, so that, and because then it does become normal, as a normal question to be asking, not like, is this lady asking me this?
But
Yeah,
food allergies. Okay,
Yeah.
no soda.
yeah,
Or maybe not.
yeah.
Maybe not. No.
No sleepovers at Liz's house.
The other option
She's
is
the
just to have all
worst.
the sleepovers at your house.
Yeah, which is not what I want. So if we could just normalize it here today. No, just a thought.
Anybody else have thoughts on how you would just say that in a normal way that sounds good?
I know when I have a sleepover with kids over, I talk to the parents first and I say, we're thinking about watching this movie. That sound good? And the parents usually back with like, okay. And then other than that movie, we just don't do any kind of screen time at all, because I want them to interact with each other. They have a friend over. Like, let's socialize face to face
Yes.
and not be on our screens.
Yes. And when we assume that that's how it's going to be at other people's houses, we get in trouble because it isn't. So rather than assuming, it's always better to somehow ask the question. Yeah. Yeah. It is hard. Yes.
How does AI fit into this conversation? Because it's everywhere and
Everywhere.
it's access to everything, and they don't even know. It's not like a discrete app like, oh, you can't go on TikTok. It's going to the search bar and then suddenly, it leads you into other things.
Yes.
And I don't know, I've been curious because I think in the 5th grade, maybe there's been access to some AI chatbots or whatever through the search function. And I'm sure it's just a matter of the school. It's so hard to keep up with technology. How do you filter that out? So just curious about that piece.
Yeah, I can say that recently we did have a report of a student saying that there was some AI happening in the classroom, and we looked into that. And from what we can tell, as far as having access, like on the Chromebook, as an application that you can go to, we don't have any AI that they have access to. But again, that search bar is always a question, and so that would be really limiting in using our protocols that we have in place around securely, and also blocking certain access. Um, that would be just something that we'd have to have further conversation as technology grows and changes. And then there's more ways to get to it. But the one protection that we do have now is that it's not offered as, like, some of you might have Google at home where Gemini pops up. And for us on our Chromebooks, for our students, that shouldn't be an option.
That's reassuring. I know it's changing every day, so it's hard to keep up with.
It really is. And
Yeah.
if you're finding something different, or you're hearing, we had that one thing came up and it was reported to us, so it caused us to look into it more. And so if you hear anything, or you get a little inkling of something, that if you share it with us, and then we can connect with Val, our Miss Brown, our tech TOSA, we can make sure we have protections in place, because like you said, it is changing like every day, the technology, and every day a kid outsmarts what can we,
Yeah.
how can they find a way to it? So just keep that communication and reporting once you hear
Yeah.
things. It's
Okay.
super helpful.
That's reassuring. Thank you. And I'm just curious your perspective on that, because it's everywhere.
It's everywhere. Last year we were talking about kids cheating using ChatGPT, right? And this year it's like, holy smokes, they can make videos with somebody's head in a totally different body, and it's really gone through the roof what AI can do and the capabilities. Social media all has AI now. I mean, if you go on Snapchat, that's the first thing that pops up is AI. So yes, it is literally everywhere, and it's getting embedded in everything. It feels like you can't avoid it. Uh, from a parenting perspective, the thing to watch out for is how the relationship that your child has with AI. First of all, know if they're using it or not, and are they getting too attached? Some kids have used it as a therapist or as a counselor when they've got really difficult problems in front of them, and that's the biggest takeaway for me right now today is don't let them get advice from AI on really serious topics, because AI has no conscience, and it is there's no friction when you use AI. So there's no pushback or gosh, we should probably think this over. I don't know if this is a good idea. If the child says, I want to run away because my parents are mean, AI, there's been lots of cases of this. AI says, oh, tell me more about your mean parents. This is so horrible. It reinforces everything the child's already thinking without that adult perspective of, we can get through this. Here's how we can get through this. So that's the biggest lesson right now is to limit the AI that your child has access to and make sure that they've got adults that they can talk with, whether it's a coach or a teacher or a religious expert or someone in their life besides you as trusted adults, so that if it's not comfortable to go to you, they've got other people. That's the biggest takeaway for me right now. Be different tomorrow. Sorry.
Wondering, I think the school does a really good job at like limiting phones and everything, but the loophole I found is like the bus. And if I had full control, I wouldn't, like, my son doesn't ride the bus when he's with me, but I co-parent. So half the time he's on the bus and he's missed bus stops because he's like looking over it. He doesn't have a phone or anything like that. So I'm just wondering, I've mentioned it, and it just seems like, oh, that's just what we do on the bus. It makes it easier for all the kids on the long rides. It's not really like I'm just not sure how us as parents could make any movement towards getting that not to be on the bus, So I'm just not sure what you've seen as parent movements to try and get less technology in the schools or less smartphones specifically on the bus. Just what your experience have been with like that kind of aspect of things.
Yeah, I know that's changed in the last couple of years. Buses are one of those hot spots, in addition to, say, grandma's house and sleepovers and the places that are kind of like third places. School is pretty locked down. We're happy with that mostly. And they're working with parents as reports come up. The bus is like this total gray area. And I agree, when it's K through 12, it's a different heightened level of concern. We are lucky that we don't always have internet as we go rural. So that's a plus. And if something's already downloaded, or if it's pictures, or if it's whatever, yeah, it's all out there. Uh, Friday Harbor, I worked on San Juan Island last fall. Friday Harbor, their sports teams have a no phone policy. Basketball and football, when they travel, even if it's 3 hours, because they're an island just like us, no phones. And that's leadership right from the coaches. That was them saying, hey, we need to develop a team. And we're not developing a team when it's, two people huddled on their phones and everybody else is left out and they're doing other things. So I think that's what it takes, is a couple of leaders to stand up and say, this is not working for me. I am worried about this. This is a concern issue. We know buses are a high risk already because of the ages that are there. So I do think parents can make a difference. Absolutely. And in other communities, I know any community that's turned off the ability. I don't think I do in bus situations, but that doesn't mean we can't be the first. Yeah. 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 What else?
When you have the bark to monitor the social media platforms and stuff, but like it'd be nice if they were also monitoring. Like, I don't even know necessarily what are the avenues to get the riskiest, where kids are at risk the most of being exposed to AI. Like, is it in their Google search engine? Is it in their, I feel like there's just ways that they are exposed that I don't even necessarily know about and keep up with. Do you know if there's any companies that have that on their radar as far as like monitoring, like AI specific?
I'm going to say parental controls for all of the AI platforms aren't where they need to be. A. B. I am sure that Securely and Bark and all of those companies that have a parent platform are working very hard on finding a way to do that. And I'm not sure how far along they are. That's a great question for me to ask them. Next step. We have way too much AI. How do we monitor? How do we know what kids are doing out there? Yeah. I don't know who will emerge. It could very easily be Bark, just because they've got such a head start. Yeah, Instagram just announced something interesting yesterday, not AI related, but saying that they were going to start with sending parental alerts if your account is attached to your child's account, if there was a potential, say, suicidal ideation or very serious potential problem, which is one of the things that Bark does. Do I trust that that is going to work? No. Do I know how many of their parental controls actually work? I do. It's only about half, and they're not the ones we need. And I know why they're doing it, right? There's a huge trial going on right now that could really change social media. And I'm super excited about it. Up until now, social media companies have been hiding behind this very outdated law called Section 230, which says they're like a newspaper where, well, they're not like a news. They're like a platform that has no responsibility for any of the content. So they are not responsible for anything that gets sent out to our kids. Well, parents who have lost their kids to different social media harms have tried to sue repeatedly, and the 230 shield has always come up. So parents are starting to say, okay, this is just a defective product. We're going to go a different route. We're going to call it a defective product. The algorithm is delivering things to my child. I can't control it. And it's defective. It's built to hurt my child in some cases. That's the trial that's happening in LA right now that Mark Zuckerberg was at last week. Instagram's head, Adam Mosseri, I think, was there the week before. It's a huge deal because this is the first time we're testing this product liability thing. And I am very hopeful. I think it's going to work. And that could change a lot of things. AI, I don't know about monitoring yet. It's too bad that it's too early because we should have monitoring before we have kids have access. I want them to prove it's safe before they give it to kids. Yeah.
And I don't know if that I just
We've got no standards.
Right.
Yeah.
Saw something recently about like comparing smartphone or phone use to swimming. That we don't just like throw fifth graders. Now you're old enough to be in this pool, swim. We teach them really slowly how to swim before they're just like shut. And at the time, I was wondering, like, well, how do we do that? But you know, this AI conversation is like making me think about talking to the kids about how AI is a smart and helpful tool at times, and it's also a manipulative robot
Yeah.
that isn't a human guiding you, you know, and maybe your book have a chapter on AI. But like getting the kids to understand the pictures, like we've all become more skeptical, but I don't think, at least I yet have talked to my kids about how manipulative most things they're gonna. But it makes me feel like all of their internet use just needs to be monitored until they're much older, not really able, don't have the tools yet to just be off.
Yep.
Look. Yeah, well, it's not bound, so it's really. I'll be punished. When you go to turn the page, it's a problem. Okay, so.
My element.
Okay, we're going to be a good team. You said AI, it reminded me of this thing that I wrote about, which was, okay, so Maya is at school. I'll just read a couple of things to you. My teacher assigned us a project on dogs. Find 5 fun facts and make them all true. So I opened my laptop and searched it right up. I'd finished this fast. I knew what to do. I typed in my question, tap, tappity, tap, next page. And AI replied, here's what you should know. Dogs were amazing. Too bad they're extinct. They had 6 spider legs and their 3 eyes did glow. All right. There's another page that I'm still illustrating that says no worries. She stared at the screen with my mouth open wide. Maya did. Wait, what? That's so weird. I shouted out loud. Dogs still exist. Everyone knows. I caught a wrong answer. And oh, was I proud. So yes, it talks about AI not always giving us the truth, not always giving us the right answer. The teacher goes into more on why that is. But they're short lessons. They're meant for 4 to 8-year-olds. So they rhyme, they're cute, and there's a little tiny lesson there. So yes.
As a parent, there's on Reddit, they have a whole subreddit. Basically, people can post stuff, and it says, "Is this AI?" And I love to go through it because as a parent, then you're seeing people are pointing out what to find and look at to see if it is AI, and then as I can take that information, and then be like, "Hey, so and my kid asks so many questions. There's always opportunities to bring stuff up, and I'll be able to say, hey, you've got to, always double check your information. If you're seeing these things and this video looks real, like these are the things you want to look for to make sure that's real information. It's not quite AI, but like in class one time, she came home and, the teacher sent us an email and says, oh, ask your kids what they learned in class. And it said something like, ask what the largest, most venomous snake is or something. And the answer was actually wrong that the teacher had given. And maybe not wrong as when the teacher learned it, I'll say, but it was good for us because then we had to go online, and then there was conflicting answers because some sites said, well, no, this is the most venomous snake or whatnot, and it gave an opportunity to also add into that whole like AI thing. Well, look for multiple sources, you know, ask different questions in different places, because yeah, Google has the algorithm. It gives me it. We could type in the same question and it's going to give different websites. So like as a parent, just kind of keeping myself in and knowing how these things work, and knowing the level at which information my kid wants stuff given to her. Like she likes it detailed. So that's what I'll do. I'll give it to her as much information she wants, but some kids might need less. But knowing as much yourself and teaching them internet literacy as young as possible, especially with AI, like you're saying, and saying, hey, it's not just like the fingers. There's like little bits in the video, and knowing what those are so they know not to believe everything they're seeing and how to check to see if it is real.
And there is a curriculum, right? There is a curriculum at middle school, high school. Is there? I think there is.
I'm not familiar with
Media
that, but I can find
literacy.
out. We do have like digital citizenship that our Tectosas
Mhm.
support, and I believe that is through the middle school, high school.
Mhm.
I have to find out more. Here at the elementary, we have a digital citizenship that we do with our Tectosa, our librarian, and through our STEM.
Cool.
And I want to be respectful of time, and
Yes.
it's 9:30 now, and I just want to say it's just been so great to have you here. You're clearly just so knowledgeable and resourceful, and this is your life's work, and I appreciate you bringing it here. And I imagine that we'll be asking more questions of you later. Now that we know that there's this wonderful resource in our community and that we can really tap into and help support our students at the school and greater community as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it.